And one of the things that we see and we understand from our brand clients is that about 40% of all the assets they create go to waste. So they only use about 60% of their total assets. Now, it may be because of creative, differences. It may be, in the worst case, a finished 30-second TV commercial doesn't get launched. That happens sometimes, not often, but it might be local variations. It might be sort of, the local regional team wants to do something different or feels like they need to modify it.
This is Evan Shapiro, your media cartographer. Welcome back to Big Data Brains. I'm here with John Batter. You are the CEO of XR, Extreme Reach.
That's right.
I got that right, thank God. We're here, we just met. Nice to meet you.
It's great to meet you.
So we talk a lot about fragmentation in the advertising world, in the media world. I talk about that a great deal. Fragmentation, 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 the three most important words in all of media.
Yep.
And you help make sense of the fragmentation for advertisers. All these ads, so many different iterations, 5 seconds, A/B testing, and all this stuff down to the endpoints across phones, social media, television. You help traffic that. That's what your company does.
That's right. So this idea of fragmentation, it's real, and I think we all feel it. From linear to linear plus CTV plus all the digital channels, cross-platform, everywhere. And now we lay on top of that AI. So we've got versioning all over the place. Right. So there's both platform fragmentation, and now there is overlaying that like media fragmentation of the actual media assets themselves. And so whereas we used to go from maybe one master to 160 variations of that master depending on language and kind of localized versions, that 160 could go to 160,000. And so that just precipitates chaos. And our job at XR is to solve for that chaos, particularly in ad operations. That's really where we sit in the ecosystem.
So that means tracking all these different tens, hundreds of thousands.
Yep.
I heard somebody say when Netflix launched Stranger Things, the last iteration, there were 1 million iterations of the ads that they put out there. So you're helping companies track the impressions that are being generated, if everything's getting delivered to the place that it's going to be delivered to, and if everything's being delivered correctly. Is that part of the solution that you're offering?
That's right. And actually, sort of a way to think about what we do is sort of very holistically. We offer an end-to-end platform, which starts at the production end. So we pay most of the talent that's in TV commercials in front of the camera in the U.S. So that's actors, celebrities, and increasingly
you're tracking
influencers.
The royalties across all these different iterations.
That's right. So we're paying them, and then we're tracking them, and we're attaching all of those rights to the actual physical assets that come into our platform. So the ads come into our platform. We make all those variations. We put the rights on those so that brands don't accidentally, have the wrong ad in the wrong territory for which they don't have rights and have penalties associated with that. And then we take all those assets, we add more metadata to them to help brands manage, and then we deliver those both linearly and digitally across 140 countries all over the world. So we're really very scaled, both in terms of what we do and our global reach.
And it's not like you do this for a couple of clients here and there, or a couple of even big clients. You have 80% of the ad world flows through the pipes that you provide?
Yeah, that's right. About 80% of all linear TV ads flows through our pipes. Most of the Fortune 500, like 80-90% of the Fortune 500 are customers of ours in one way or another. Not all use the end-to-end, but we sort of have 5 different modules, and they generally leverage one of those 5 modules. Some leverage all 5 of them.
So it must, and you talked about AI here for a second, and I've talked about that a little bit over the course of these conversations. And one of the things that's a recurring theme is that AI is great as a tool, as a lever, right, as a palette. But if the information being put into it isn't high quality, then it gets even worse on the other end of AI. The amount of information you must have access to is mind-boggling. The data across all the use cases of the ads themselves, but then also the contracts as well. How do you use that data to make the operation smarter?
Sure. The company's 35 years old.
Wow.
And has been sitting at the center of this ecosystem for quietly, I think, for 35 years doing its job. And underneath all of that is a treasure trove of data. And whereas, maybe 5 years ago, we would have said, hey, we have a platform and we want everybody to enter their information into our platform the way we want them to, on our UI. And you might have customers that say, well, over the years, we used to send you information in email. We'd send it in a Word doc. We'd send it in a PDF. We'd send you one of our internal forms. And then we'd have people who would enter that. Or we'd say, we don't want to do that anymore. You got to enter that on our platform. Today, we say, whatever is the most convenient way for you to send us information, we'll take it and our AI systems will read that information and get it in the platform in the right place. Of course, we have humans in the loop there to check it, and we have people there for customer support. But that whole process, it really makes the interaction between us and our platform much more seamless. And I think that's fascinating.
I don't obviously work at the scale that you work, but we consult with people, and one of the big things that we do at the beginning is just ingest data, human conversations, but then all the data we can possibly get. And the data health of different organizations varies.
Yep. That's right.
And the storage varies. Very often it's not that great, but the embarrassment of not having great data health kind of falls away. Like, we'll provide you the caches of data in our silly Excel spreadsheets, and you'll be able to put that into a process.
And we can just pull that in and put that into our platform today.
And part of the reason you can do that is because of all the 35 years of course correction and all the collection that you've been doing enables you to do this in a way that's most efficient.
That's right. So we've read that, we've built our models, we've trained our models, and we know how to do that today.
So I would imagine that one of the ways that you can help your partners is to reduce waste. Because you have all this information about how they place ads, the versioning of the ads, the various the language redubs that have to be done. But it seems like there's an opportunity to help correct that maybe perhaps waste upstream. And you've developed a new way to do that called XR1 that you're launching now. Is it in the market?
Well, we're soft launching it here at Cannes.
Okay.
And we'll be having our big public launch in the next few weeks.
Okay. And what is XR1? How does it? So you already cover a tremendous amount of the operation for an advertiser and the various partners. What does this add to the stack?
So let me sort of back up and just sort of answer your first question, which is about waste.
Right.
And one of the things that we see and we understand from our brand clients is that about 40% of all the assets they create go to waste. So they only use about 60% of their total assets. Now, it may be because of creative, differences. It may be, in the worst case, a finished 30-second TV commercial doesn't get launched. That happens sometimes, not often, but it might be local variations. It might be sort of, the local regional team wants to do something different or feels like they need to modify it.
40% never gets used at all?
40%, start with the master and go down to those 160 versions. Along that way, about 40% of those physical assets never get used.
That's nuts.
And so there's a real opportunity, I think, for brands to leverage that data to make smarter decisions about whether they want to localize in a certain region, what ads they want to make, where, what's the investment that they want to make, particularly when you have brands spending hundreds of millions of dollars. It's real money. So just, let that soak in.
Yeah, totally.
And so, what does XR1 do, which is the XR platform? So we've spent the last couple of years really taking this sort of 35 years of legacy of the business. And I sort of talked a little bit about, payroll, rights tracking, delivery, and knitting it together in one unified platform with a common UI. So 5 modules to the platform, starting at the very beginning of the process where talent gets paid. And then we take the ads that the talent's in, we help brands actually manage that whole process. the budgeting process, the bidding process, the management of how they spend their money to create their ads. So that's a module of our platform. We ingest the ads that come through all that, the finished ads that come through all of that, as I mentioned earlier. We attach metadata to that about rights, maybe about the context of the ad to help in contextual targeting. So we build out metadata around those ads, and then we ultimately deliver those ads both digitally and linearly. And when you have that end-to-end solution, you can really start to connect what you spent on an ad with where the ad's going and ultimately how effective the ads are being, so that you can start to...
And you're measuring what falls away all along the food chain itself.
Yes.
And so you're basically able to better predict how $1 spent will come out on the other end when you have two different choices to make.
That's right. And we work with a series of measurement partners,
okay,
so that you can actually measure effectiveness against the asset. And so that, we think, is sort of the holy grail of being able to connect the creative to the media and the ultimate efficacy. And we're really excited about that.
So when you can take the measurement of, I've been talking about this a couple of times today. The creative has basically almost a weight of 50%
Yep.
on the outcome of an ad.
Right.
Everyone puts a lot of weight on
Yep.
where the ad runs, and
Yep.
the context of it is absolutely important.
Yep.
But the creative itself, and that's why so much time and effort is put into A/B testing,
Yep.
right? This helps you use existing data to help predict better outcomes at the very earliest days of production of an ad itself, before you get into any distribution.
That's right. And the feedback loop should be relatively quick. Now we're
So
just
you can correct as you go.
So you can correct as you go. And we're just now starting to integrate our measurement partners really deeply into our platform.
And so this, you said you're beta testing this now, right?
Yep.
Can you talk about who you're beta testing this with?
Well, I should say that the platform in its various components has been live.
Got it.
So there's really not the innovation is really the integration of the disparate pieces.
Got it.
And so we've had clients using bits and pieces of it for many years. And so, for instance, in our module where we do our production cost management, which we call XR costs. P&G has been a customer for many years, and they use us globally to manage their production costs. We're deeply integrated into all their financial systems. And you're talking about hundreds and hundreds. You said this before. Yeah.
Let that sink in. Hundreds of millions of dollars they spend just producing commercials on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's right. And so this is a platform that's used globally to manage all that.
But they've been doing this for a while. That's amazing. Well, I think when you look at just the fragmentation of human use of media, and then the distribution of advertising across that, I think we sleep on how complicated that is.
Yeah.
The versioning, as you said, all over the place. But then the measurement back to the costs is just, it just blows your mind.
Yeah.
The fact that you're consolidating that into one platform, I think, probably makes for a very powerful partnership for everybody that you're working with. So,
and I think sort of the key takeaway for us is that advertising operations has really been the infrastructure in the back room for many years, and today it is the platform for which the entire modern advertising ecosystem operates.
Well, the ROI is predicted on how well you manage all this stuff, and it's very difficult to actually have efficient and effective marketing if you're not taking care of the back end of this stuff.
That's right.
So it's great to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
And this is your second can?
This is my second Cannes Lions. Yeah.
It's a little mind-blowing, you said?
Oh my gosh, it's amazing, and it's really off the charts.
It is off the charts. It was super to meet you.
Yeah,
Thanks
you
so
too.
much.
Thank you.
This is Evan Shapiro for Big Data Brains. We'll see you next time.